Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. Now I'm gonna present my article. The article's name is Back to School Feelings of Teachers of English. How are they doing in the school? And the writers of the article are Oya Tunaboylu, Onur Karasu, and Sevim İnal. If you are ready, let's start it. What's the aim of us, the target of study? What article focuses on? Let's look at the research embarked on determine primarily how Turkish teachers of English feel during the newest back-to-school routine during what the Turkish government terms controlled normalcy period. And there are research questions that these questions help us to understand the content of the study. And let's look at the first question is, what emotional concerns do Turkish teachers of English have when they have resumed face-to-face teaching during the controlled normalcy duration? And the second one is, what professional concerns do Turkish teachers of English have when they have resumed face-to-face teaching during the controlled normalcy period? And the third question is, are there any differences in the participants' concerns with respect to gender, type of school, teaching experience? And what's the problem of this study? What is the reason that article focuses on this topic? Let's look at in this empirical study, teachers were the shift focus, one of the most defenseless groups in the pandemic duration in Turkey, and they were asked about their professional and emotional apprehensions and difficulties about the reopening of schools during the normalization process. The initial target is to find out the emotional and professional concerns of the Turkish teachers of English working at primary, lower secondary, and high schools during the normalcy period. What's the significance of the study? What are the features of the study that differ it from other studies? Let's look at to the best of teachers' knowledge. This study is the only study conducted on the apprehension of English language teachers during the normalcy period. So it's supposed that the findings of the study will instruct the decision makers about the concern of the major stakeholders. That's it. Teachers, informed by their concerns, the decision makers can take some protective measurements depending on the findings of this experimental study. And there's literature review. There are so many studies about this topic. Some of them are in this page. Habib Bertis and Allen have conducted a study to find out the remarks of students and teachers on remote education activities generated in Turkey. 20 students and 16 teachers participated in the research. The teachers who attended in the study explained that the biggest problem with the remote education is the lack of interaction. A survey of over 10,000 teachers detected that 92% of teachers experience emotional fatigue, stress, anguish, or anxiety due to lockdown and distant education. Excessive bureaucratic duties, unclear instructions, lack of support from the school management, and lack of technical vehicles were the main problems identified by teachers. According to a survey carried out in Brazil by Instituto Peninsula, 83% of teachers did not think being prepared to teach remotely. 67% were anxious, 38% felt tired, and only less than 10 were happy or satisfied. The panel has highlighted the need for flexibility and more time for student-teacher interactions, and The findings of another study applied during the pandemic find out that teachers urgently should gain skills in educational practices and platforms, as due to this, they are low in motivation to apply to use distant education technologies. And there's methodology. Online survey method was utilized. And A. Participants. Who are the participants? The study group of this research um, involves 171 teachers teaching at state and private-run schools and was selected by a purposeful criteria sampling technique. B. Instruments. Which instruments are used? A questionnaire was prepared by the research and an interview was carried with the focus group to collect the data. The questionnaire involves three parts: demographic information, emotional concerns, and professional concerns on a Likert scale with 1 or 5 degrees strongly disagree to strongly agree. And C, data analysis. The independent samples t-test was applied to compare two independent variables. One-way analysis of variance ANOVA was applied to compare multiple independent variables. Post-hoc tests were used to know which of the multiple independent variables were significantly different. In addition, descriptive statistical values of the data were involved in the study. Cronbach alpha internal consistency method was used to calculate the reliability coefficient of the scale. And there are results. These results answer to the research questions. Let's look at the teacher's emotional concerns are given in Table 2. The table shows that the data have a normal distribution since the significance values of the Kolmogorov-Smirnov tests are higher than 0.5. No significant difference is found between the teacher's emotional concerns with reference to the gender and type of school variables, and no significance between the teacher's emotional concerns relying on the years of teaching experience. However, a significant difference has been discovered between the teacher's emotional concerns regarding to the teaching levels. And according to the Tanfon T2 test results, which was carried to detect among which groups the emotional concerns of teachers differ according to the teaching level variable. The difference between emotional concerns is between the group teaching at the high school level and the group teaching at secondary school level, and the difference is in favor of the group teaching at the secondary school level. And there are tables that proves the results. And there are discussions. Let's look at, since there have been no studies carried out in the current topic up to now in Turkey, the researchers cannot discuss and contrast the findings in light of the other studies. The present study looked into the emotional and professional apprehensions of the Turkish teachers of English during controlled normalcy period, in which teachers returned to school for teaching subsequent to a long period of distant education. And there are implications. What we infer from the studies, what are the hidden messages in this study? Let's look at. Returning to schools for teachers is a worrying process because there are many obscurity before them. They don't know what they will do in the future. They put not only their life but also their families and students live in danger. Also, in normalization duration, teachers go through difficult times, hard times. due to barriers result from lack of technology skills. So in returning process, teachers should be supported by policymakers and authorities. And there are limitations. This study simply focuses the concerns of teachers, students' feelings, and mental health in normalization process are not taken into consideration. It's advisable, it's reasonable that students' concerns and emotions, students' apprehensions regarding the back to school period may be investigated. That's the end of my presentation. Thanks for listening.